Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Sridevi Mata just left a message on WhatsApp group that she's lost her electricity, so she'll be back in a few minutes.
Hare Krishna. As you can see, there are innumerable power cuts happening in Mayapur, and we just got subjected to a cut. Hopefully, by your prayers and mercy, we should be able to go on without too many disturbances. But that's what it is out here. And who knows, the time will come when we will not have electricity at all. As Srila Prabhupada said, this whole Western civilization is going to collapse. So maybe we are getting a little, glimpse of it now. Anyway, so I've been asked to play the host as well as give the class because it's a bit of a problem for someone to host the call today. So please bear with me. You may have noticed that it was a little difficult, but I will try to do my best. I hope we don't lose power again. I really hope we don't lose power again. But we are on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, verse 34. We are continuing with the series of verses where Maharaj Parikshit is all ready to punish Kali for harassing mother cow and father bull. So we are on verse number 34. I will start with the invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So the verse goes like this. Yasmin Harir Bhagavan Iyamana Yatma murtiryajatam sam tanoti kaman amoghan stira jangamanam antarbahirvayur ivaisha atma. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So, we will read the translation. In all sacrificial ceremonies, although sometimes a demigod is worshipped, the Supreme Lord Personality of Godhead is worshipped because He is the super soul of everyone and exists both inside and outside like the air. Thus, it is He only who awards all welfare to the worshipper. Purport. It is even sometimes seen that demigods like Indra and Chandra are worshipped and offered sacrificial awards. Yet the rewards of all such sacrifices are awarded to the worshipper by the Supreme Lord, and it is the Lord only who can offer all welfare to the worshipper. The demigods, although worshipped, cannot do anything without the sanction of the Lord, because the Lord is the super soul of everyone, both moving and non-moving. In Bhagavad Gita 9:23, the Lord Himself confirms this in the following shlok. Yepi anta devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mam eva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam. Avidhi purvakam. Whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. The fact is that the Supreme Lord is one without a second. There is no God other than the Lord Himself. Thus, the Supreme Lord is eternally transcendental to the material creation. But there are many who worship the demigods, like the sun, the moon, and Indra, who are only material representatives of the Supreme Lord. These demigods are indirect qualitative representations of the Supreme Lord. A learned scholar or devotee, however, knows who is who. Therefore, he directly worships the Supreme Lord and is not diverted by the material qualitative representations. Those who are not so learned worship such qualitative material representations, but their worship is unceremonious because it is irregular. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. So I am going to click the record button. So here we are in Canto 1, Chapter 17, verse number 34. And here the description is being given about demigod worship. You see, people with a small intelligence worship the demigods. As Krishna himself declares, we'll see in the verses of the Bhagavad Gita, which I will share with you shortly, that Krishna says to Arjuna, men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and indirectly they are worshipping me alone. Why? Because the demigods are also servants of God. Ultimately, who is the creator of everything? Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante bam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. So he is the source of the sages, the demigods, the demigoddesses, all of creation, everything. Nothing can exist without Krishna, and everything rests on Krishna. Matta partaram nanyat kinched asti dhananjaya. Mai idam sarva protam sutre mani gana iva. That is Bhagavad Gita 7:7. And the previous one was 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse number 9. Both are very famous verses. Everything rests upon me as pearls on a thread. There is no more truth superior to me. So, when everything is emanating from Krishna, why do people worship demigods? Because they have a poor fund of knowledge, because they do not know who is God, and they do not know their relationship with God. They are fooled by the material energy, and they worship various demigods for what? For material gain. Huh? I want a nice bank balance. I want a nice wife. I want beautiful home. I want a good position. I want glamour, fame, wealth, beauty, wisdom, everything. But all these things, yes, the demigods can give all these things. For example, it is said, if you want a beautiful wife, worship Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva. If you want material opulence and removal of all obstacles on the path of material progress, you worship Ganesh. You want good health and a good life and lots of happiness, you worship Surya. So like this, different demigods are in charge of different portfolios. It's just like how a government is set up. You have a president, you have a vice president, you have senators, you have departmental heads, you have chief ministers, vice chief ministers, and so on. So same way, there's a whole administrative setup for this universe with a god in charge of the moon, sun, earth, planets, water, air, fire, ether, even your eyelids are controlled by a demigod. Yes, there's a demigod in charge of mosquitoes. We'll see further down in Krishna book. Not in Krishna book. In the pastime with Sanatan Goswami, I think it was, where he said, I'm leaving this place, and Lord Shiva came hastening. Please don't leave. I will make sure the mosquitoes do not trouble you. So like this, there are different demigods in charge of various aspects of our existence. But if we go to the demigods and pray for material benedictions, what happens is we may even get those benedictions, but it all comes to an end with the end of this life, because even the demigods come to an end and their benefits are temporary and limited. So therefore, the man of intelligence, and when I say man, I also mean woman, obviously, because I'm just using that expression. It means everyone, who is actually understanding what they are. Eternal spirit soul. Who is God? Krishna is God. I'm part and parcel of Krishna. He will want to attain the best, which is what? Eternal life in Golok Vrindavan. So, only those who have intelligence, who have understanding, and most important, who have received the mercy of the pure devotee, in order to understand transcendental knowledge, he can achieve the supreme. He can achieve the Lord, the highest and the best of all. So you see how valuable, how important it is to receive the mercy of the pure devotee. Not everyone gets this mercy. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. A living entity wanders for millions of lifetimes in various universes, up and down, sometimes as an ant, sometimes as Brahma, sometimes as a bird, a beast, a reptile, a fish, a worm. So many different species of life we can inhabit. But only in the human form of life, we can revive our eternal loving relationship to Krishna and permanently get out of the cycle of repeated birth and death, which is just a material birth and another material death. Of course, devotees have heard that no matter which birth we take, my dear Lord, or wherever you place me, please let me serve you. And this is actually the highest. Krishna wants us to come back home, but devotees who are very, very elevated, they can pray like this, that my dear Lord, wherever you place me, even in hellish planet, please let me serve your lotus feet. But that calls for a very high level of spiritual consciousness. So for me, I'm very small and I have no such great ambitions to go to some hellish planet and serve there. This is hellish enough for me here. So I simply pray, my dear Lord, please take me back to your lotus feet. That's all I crave for. But also it is said that as neophytes, we should pray to go back home to Godhead. But the highest and the best is to say, Krishna, wherever you place me, let me simply serve you to the best of my capacity. That is actually the best. So, who are the people who go to the demigods? They want temporary material benefits. Why do they want temporary material benefits? Because they do not understand what is the highest and the best. They are befooled by the material energy. The glitter, the aura of the material energy is so enchanting. It's so alluring and it promises so much that people go for it like moths go to a blazing flame. But then what happens? The promised for happiness doesn't come. Oh, I want that job. Oh my God, I really want that job. I'm going to do my best to impress that boss in the interview. I'm going to prepare myself. I'm going to take extra courses. I'm going to study hard. I'm going to wear the best suit I have. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And we get the job. We may even get that job. But then we find it's not all that, great. It's not, what all that was promised doesn't really happen. The hours are very long. I have to work overtime. Many times my boss doesn't acknowledge or consider me for a promotion. He's busy, conserving his own position. My colleagues seem to be indifferent. There's no teamwork, no team spirit. I don't know whether I'll really grow in this organization. It's not all that it was cranked up to be. Initially, I got fooled by the reviews. And now here I am stuck in this job thinking, oh, I work so hard, I struggle so hard, but I'm not happy in this job. Right? Hasn't this happened to us in different ways, different situations? Oh, I want this girl. She's so beautiful. I must have her. Life will be perfect. She's an angel. She's so wonderful. Her hair is beautiful. Her eyes are beautiful. Everything about her is beautiful. And my life will become perfect if I marry her. And then we get married to this beautiful girl or beautiful boy. Of course, devotees are a little more mature and more understanding. We are talking about the people who are in the outside world, who are, dazzled by the external. These are people who are dazzled by the external. They don't understand that relationships call for a lot of understanding, maturity, tolerance, and a huge dose of what is called reality check. And so their marriages are based on something different from what devotee marriages are based on. But then what happens? Oh, she's a spendthrift. Yes, she's very beautiful, but half my paycheck goes to buy all expensive things for her. And she has no idea of how much it costs to buy anything. I work so hard and she's a high maintenance wife. I didn't know that she's such a spendthrift, etc. Like this, we are just talking, in general. But every situation in which we think we are going to be very happy by getting some material gain, it turns out to be a disappointment, or it turns out to be an actual failure. Or we may even face rejection after putting in all the efforts for the job or for the girl or the boy or whatever it is. We actually face great disappointment and hurt. But in Krishna consciousness, whatever little bit we do is never going to go waste. It goes into our eternal bank account and Krishna takes note of it. Srila Prabhupada said, if all you have ever done is to hit one nail in one door of one temple in your entire life, Krishna will remember that service. And Krishna is so grateful. He's so grateful for every little thing that we do. And he gives the highest result, even with the smallest of efforts. He wants to award his devotee the best. He's so kind. He's so merciful. Kamba dayalum sharanam brajema. There's that beautiful verse which I will share with you. Let me see if I can pull it up, in which it is said, how can I take shelter of anyone more merciful? Dayalu. Yeah. One more merciful than he who gave the post of Putana, the post of mother, to one who came to poison and kill him by giving him her breast milk, which was poisoned. Can everyone see? I hope everyone can see. Ahobakiyam stana kala putam jigam saya papayad apisad asadhi debe gatindhatri uchitam tatonyam kamva dayalum sharanam rajema. It sounds so nice even just to say it, isn't it? Alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he who granted the position of mother to a she-demon, Putana, although she was unfaithful, and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. See? And here there's a beautiful purport. Here is an example of the extreme mercy of the Lord even to his enemy. It is said that a noble man accepts the good qualities of a person of doubtful character, just as one accepts nectar from a stalk of poison. And then just see this last line. The Lord accepts the least qualification of the living entity and awards him the highest reward. That is the standard of his character. Therefore, who but the Lord can be the ultimate shelter? So devotee is so in love with God, with Krishna, he doesn't even want to think about anyone else. He will not dream of worshipping the demigods because he understands what's the use. What's the use? Let's look at some of the verses of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7. In the Bhagavad Gita, 20 to 23, let's go to default view. First, we'll read the translations, and then I will share with you what Krishna is saying about demigod worship. So let's go to 7:20. Here we go. I'm going to highlight it so that you can see it clearly. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. So see here, Krishna is giving very detailed explanation of how even if the demigod is worshipped, who is granting the demigod power to award that particular benediction? Krishna. See the very first line. Demigods cannot award benedictions to their devotees without the permission of the Supreme Lord. The living entity may forget that everything is the property of the Supreme Lord, but the demigods do not forget. So the worship of demigods and achievement of desired results are not due to the demigods, but to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by arrangement. The less intelligent living entity does not know this, and therefore he foolishly goes to the demigods for some benefit. But the pure devotee, when in need of something, prays only to the Supreme Lord. Asking for material benefit, however, is not a sign of a pure devotee. A living entity goes to the demigods usually because he is mad to fulfill his lust. This happens when something undue is desired by the living entity and the Lord himself does not fulfill the desire. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that one who worships the Supreme Lord and at the same time desires material enjoyment is contrary in his desires. Devotional service to the Supreme Lord and the worship of a demigod cannot be on the same platform because worship of a demigod is material and devotional service to the Supreme Lord is completely spiritual. For the living entity who desires to return to Godhead, material desires are impediments. A pure devotee of the Lord is therefore not awarded the material benefits desired by less intelligent living entities, who therefore prefer to worship demigods of the material world rather than engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. So, you might say, as devotees, but I have material desires. I want certain things. I'm not able to overcome, my desire for, say, a beautiful wife or a beautiful home or a beautiful job or a beautiful vacation. I'm longing for these things. Krishna says, don't worry. Those who are full of material desires, those who have no material desires, those who have achieved liberation, all of them should worship me alone. Still, we may have a lot of material desires. That's all right. 2, 3, 10. Let's go to 2, 3, 10. Tivrena bhakti yogena. That particular verse is there. Let's be 2, 3, 10. I'll pull it up and share with you. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole Personality of Godhead. So, we sometimes may wonder, oh my God, I have this material desire, what to do? That's all right. That's all right. We may, not only we do. We suffer from all kinds of attachments, and those attachments give rise to all kinds of material desires. But still, we must faithfully go on worshipping the Supreme Lord because He knows what is best for us. He may or He may not give that material desire, but that is also good for us. If He grants it to us, then He will make sure we do not want anything else again, because He will give it to us in such a way we will realize the futility of asking any more material benedictions. Or He will not grant it and He will say, you don't need this. So whatever Krishna does is actually good for the devotee. It is not in any way an impediment not to have something material. In fact, material benedictions can actually become impediments. Just as Mother Kunti prayed in 1.8.26, Srimad Bhagavatam, she says, only one who is free of all these various desires for beautiful looks, for high material position, high parentage, beautiful bodily features, high education, exalted parentage, and what is the fourth one? Material opulence. Only is one who is not trying for all these things. Only he can call out to you feelingly, hey, Govinda. That's also a very beautiful verse. Let me pull that up for you. 1.8.26. 8.26. Sorry, I'm holding you up because I'm doing the posting also. So just bear with me. Janmaishwarya Shrutashi Bhir Edamana Madapuman Naivaratyaadpitatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. My Lord, your Lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. So you see, material qualifications may sometimes become huge impediments on the path of bhakti. In fact, one book distributor writes this in his book on book distribution. His name is Anaka Dundubhi. He was preaching somewhere in Europe, in the Balkans, in one of the countries, Croatia, Slovenia, or something like that. Now, people from Croatia, Slovenia, and those regions, I don't know the whole Balkans, what it is, but they're all Kshatriyas. They are Kshatriyas by lineage, and so they are extremely beautiful, very, very beautiful, really. The men and the women are extremely beautiful. They have very beautiful bodily features. They're extremely handsome or extremely beautiful. And so he was preaching to these 3 or 4 young men in an office who are, very, very handsome, very good looking, in suits and ties and, looking like demigods. And he was trying to preach to them, give them books, and they were just, laughing it off and taking it very lightly and not really taking it seriously. And he was really trying hard to help them get the mercy. And finally, seeing that they were just not buying into anything, he said, "It's useless. You're too beautiful to get this transcendental knowledge." Immediately, they were shocked. They were shocked at his vehemence in saying that. And because he could see that their bodily beauty made them so, what to say, self conscious, that they had no interest in God consciousness. Just like the two sons of Kuber, Nalakubera and Manigriva, they were very handsome demigods. And they didn't even care when Narad Muni was coming by, even though they were stark naked. And then Narad Muni cursed them. So similarly, these young men were extremely, taken up with their own beauty. They thought that is all there is in life. Why should we bother? And so when he said that, they became so serious. They were startled into actually paying attention to him, and they finally bought some books. So the point I'm trying to make is, people who are extremely wealthy, of all the opulences, the wealth is the most difficult to overcome. They have a lot of pride because they can control, they can buy off people, things, everything. So they think, I'm a God myself. Why do I need God? That happens. So bodily beauty, high material education, respectable parentage, great opulence. It's very hard for them to come to Krishna consciousness. So we must be careful what we ask for, because they can take us away from Krishna. But this is not to say that those who have these things cannot become great devotees. Please don't misunderstand me. Srila Prabhupada, when George Harrison came to him with a very humble and sincere attitude of wanting to learn more, he told him, "You are very fortunate. You have all the material opulences, and yet you are looking for something more." Because George Harrison had it all. He was very popular. He was one of the Fab Four, the Beatles. He was having fabulous wealth. He was very good looking. All the women were after him. And he didn't have much education, but in Kali Yuga, no one cares about education. So he really had so much, and yet he knew there was something more. He was actually a very great devotee. And so Srila Prabhupada, seeing his sincerity, accepted him as a disciple. So to come back again to the main verse that we are talking about, here we can see that the demigods are unable to do anything without Krishna permitting it. But Krishna is so kind that when he sees the living entity trying to worship Ganesh or Shiva, he says, "All right, at least you're worshipping some higher power. At least you're admitting that you're not God himself." So he makes his faith in that demigod steady. See how kind he is, and allows him to worship, slowly trying to bring him to the point of Krishna consciousness. So this is Krishna's mercy. And we must understand that we have become very fortunate that we are not got swayed into worshipping all these demigods and then lose out on the most important gift of the human form of life, which is the gift of rekindling a dormant, loving relationship with Krishna, and then ultimately go back to Krishna. So we will stop over here. Hope that was helpful. I will stop the screen share and humbly request everyone to, if possible, open up their cameras so we can all see each other. And if you wish to ask any questions or make comments or share your realizations, we can do that. Thank you so very much. Hare Krishna. So we have, thank you, Revati. It's a great honor to serve all of you. I am not so actually very qualified or very learned, but you are all kindly tolerating me. So I'm very thankful for that. Thank you so much. Yes, Revati, please go ahead.
Sorry, Mataji, I cannot camera. I cannot turn on camera. Sorry. I'm in the middle of something. So Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Guru Maharaj. Mataji, I have a question. Like I was reading Krishna book, Vasus, like 8 Vasus. Could you please explain like who are 8 Vasus and their role?
Which chapter of Krishna book is that? I'm not able to get that. They were Bhishma's brothers, right? He was the 8th one.
Okay.
8 Vasul.
8 Vasus is like a chapter. One second.
I'm not able to recall just off the top of my head.
Okay.
Wasn't Bhishma one of the 8 Vasul? 7 of them, Ganga threw into Satyavati threw into Ganga, right? And the 8th one, Shantanu couldn't control himself and said, "Why are you doing that?" And so she left the baby. Bhishma, wasn't that the one?
No, I don't know, Mataji. I was reading the chapter 8, Krishna book.
Krishna book.
Yeah, Vision of the Universal. They didn't mention anything about Vasus, but since you were talking about demigods, so I wanted to know like who are 8 Vasus like here.
I myself am not
So
aware because I have not read in depth about this.
when best of the
The 8
Vasus.
Vasus. No, I have no knowledge of this, who the 8 Vasus are.
I just Googled it and said about like, Vasus, they represent this earth, water, fire, wind, and sun of Aditi, sky, moon, and stars. But I don't know the details, so I just wanted to check with you.
I also don't know. I have to read up about this in Veda base. I have no idea what the 8 Vasus are. I'm very sorry. I cannot answer you because I don't want to do mental speculation. I have to do research to answer this question.
Okay, Mataji, sure, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We have Vishwapamani, Brajavilasini, Shilpesh Prabhu. Shilpesh Prabhu, how is your uncle, Sanjay uncle, doing? Oh, my dear Revati, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev. I'm so sorry, I forgot to offer my obeisances back to you. I got carried away by your question. Forgive me for that.
No, Mataji, thank you very much. My humble obeisances to you. Thank you for your beautiful services, your very beautiful classes. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept humble obeisances. So goes Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept mine, Shilpesh Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev.
Yes, my uncle is hanging in there. It's still very hourly. He's on a respirator and a dialysis machine and so forth, but he's hanging in there.
I see. Very harrowing time for all of you.
Yes. My mom went to see him yesterday, so she was quite shocked at seeing how, all the things plugged into him and everything.
The most difficult thing to see our loved ones, like that, helpless and, being all those things happening to the body, in order to keep that soul in that body and keep that person alive. It is a very difficult thing to watch all this, actually.
But we're praying for him, we're chanting for him.
Yes.
And, gives us strength as well.
Yes.
It's all in Krishna's hands. Ultimately, everything is in his hands. And he's
Really,
come to the temple with me, so I'm very happy that he's at darshan there, and whatever happens will happen now.
right. I mean, everything that he has done in Krishna consciousness is never going to go waste, Prabhu. It's
Yeah.
always going to be there in his eternal bank account, and Krishna will take care of him.
Yeah.
This actually reminds us of how temporary this material body is, and how
Yeah.
fragile is our existence in this material body, isn't it? The
That's
material body can just, any moment, it can betray us in so many ways, and that's
He
the
was
end.
he was with us last week. He came to stay, and yes, he had a cough. He said I'm not feeling well, and he wasn't feeling well. Like he had a flu type symptoms, and that was it, just like that out of nowhere. So yes,
Right. And then
he's
suddenly, just a cold cough, and next thing, pneumonia, respirator. Bhakti Mart Swami in Mayapur, he was giving a class, and at the end of the class, he said, turn to the person next to you and say something nice, because you never know, this might be the last time you will see them ever
true.
again, given the nature of this material world. And I was like, wow, that's a stark reminder of how ephemeral, how fleeting, how unpredictable is our existence in this material world.
We have to be gracious with everyone we meet, because we just don't know. That's happened. We've lost so many people like that in our families, just out of nowhere. So yeah, you have to be gracious all the time with people, because you just don't know.
Right. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's mother, he would always say that he learned so much from her. She would say, give me the flowers when I can see them.
Yes.
Give me the flowers when I can see them. Because she would say, what's the use of bringing, bunches of flowers after I'm dead and gone and singing my eulogies for them, So really, we must learn to appreciate and be grateful for one another now. We must really be very cognizant that each person in my life is such a gift, and express our love, our gratitude, our affection for them now, and not wait for some fine day for it to have, for
True.
for saying that. Yeah.
Very true. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a comment by Manisha. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Gurudev. Well, thank you for joining us, Manisha. It's very nice to have you on the call. And of course, it would be nice to see you also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So you're in Indore, Manisha?
Yes, Mataji. I am from Indore.
Very nice. It's a very historic city. Mandu is in Indore and very famous. And I also know that it's very close to Ujjain, as Guru Maharaj said.
Yeah.
And I know that Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja will happen in Ujjain this year, like it happened last year. So I'm hoping very much by Gurudev's mercy, Prabhupada's mercy, and Vaishnav's mercy to actually be in the Ujjain. So you're welcome to join in.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Actually, I am attending that Vyas Puja in Ujjain.
Oh, you attended the Vyas Puja.
Yes.
Very nice. Must have been so wonderful to be in person. We saw it online on Zoom, but nothing like being there. Could see how much love and affection. Everyone was just, so carried away by Guru Maharaj's presence, and they were so happy to offer him their love and devotion. It was very inspiring.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So if no one has any more questions, comments, or realizations, maybe we can end the call here with everyone's permission. I thank you all for coming, and Srimati has asked me to announce about tomorrow's class so that everyone knows about it. The timings, of course, will be slightly different because it is with the Bhakti Sangha group, and the verse is 7th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm sorry, Canto 7, chapter 6, verse number 4. It will be 11:20 UK time and 4:50. That means 10 minutes to 5 evening in India. Again, 11:20 UK time. That is, I think it's about 40 minutes before our usual time. So just make a note of that, and we will be joining the Bhakti Sangha devotees. Thank you all so much. I will stop the recording, and I will also end the call. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyayascha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you,
Thank-
Mataji. Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.